$352. That's what the receipt says. You're standing at the ATM outside a gas station. 11:40 at night. The machine spat out a strip of paper nobody asked for. You don't remember your card number. Not fully. You remember this number. You fold the receipt in half, then in half again. You don't throw it away. Not yet. You don't know why. It just feels like something worth keeping, like a stub from a movie you don't even remember the ending of. The wind picks up. Somewhere behind you, a truck idles. You put the receipt in your back pocket and walk to your car. The one with a dent in the door you never got fixed, because fixing it never once made the list. You're 22. $352. Rent is due in 6 days. Nobody warns you about this part. Nobody warns you about the folding. But this is where it starts. Not with a plan. Not with a spreadsheet. With a piece of paper you didn't mean to keep. And a number that's about to follow you for the next 18 years. You just don't know that yet. You work at a distribution warehouse on the edge of town. Not the kind with a name anyone brags about. The kind with a metal roof that pings when it rains, and a break room that smells like microwaved rice no matter what anyone's actually microwaving. Your job is pulling orders. Walk the aisle, scan the code, grab the item, put it in the bin. 600 times a shift, give or take. Your shoes are the kind you buy at a big box store for $29. And by month 4, the sole on the left one is already thinner than the right. Nobody tells you that your body keeps score. It does. Your lower back does anyway. $14 an hour, 32 hours most weeks, because full-time comes with benefits, and benefits cost the company money, so you stay just under the line. You do the math on your phone in the parking lot. 14 times 32, $448 before taxes. After taxes, less than you'd like to say out loud. Your rent is $610 for a room in a house you share with 2 other guys. Not an apartment. A room. The kind with a lock that doesn't quite catch unless you lift the door while you turn the key. You pay your phone bill. $55. You put gas in the car. $18 at a time because $18 is what you have when you're standing at the pump. Not because $18 fills anything. This is the part nobody puts in a movie. There's no scene for standing at a gas pump, watching the numbers climb, doing math on whether to stop at 15 or push it to 20. You stop at 18. Payday hits every other Friday. And here's the thing about payday at this level. It doesn't feel like income. It feels like relief, like exhaling. The account goes from $31 to $440, and for about 6 hours, you feel like someone who has money. You don't. You have money that already has a job. The rent has a claim on it. The phone bill has a claim on it. The guy at the corner store has a claim on it, because you ran a tab in March, and you still owe him $30. Friday night, your coworker Des texts you, wings and a game at his cousin's place. $12 in, everyone chips in for beer. You go. Saying no feels like admitting something out loud you're not ready to admit, that you're broke, not just tight. So you go and it's a good night. Genuinely, nobody's lying about that part. Monday, the account says $206. 9 days until the next check. You don't panic anymore. You just get quiet. Some days, lunch isn't a thing that's happening. You tell Des you already ate. You didn't. Nobody at the warehouse knows this about you. You've gotten good at looking fine. Here's what's actually happening underneath it, and it's not dramatic, so nobody talks about it. There's no villain here. No landlord shouting. Just a number. A job that pays it slowly, and a version of you that's tired more often than he says. The receipt from the ATM is still folded in your wallet. $352 used to feel like something. It doesn't feel like much now either. That scares you a little if you sit with it too long. You don't sit with it long. You've got a shift in the morning. Something happens in October that doesn't look like anything. You're scrolling through your banking app, waiting for a video to load, and you see a little banner. Set up automatic savings. You've seen it 100 times before. You always swipe past it. This time you don't. You're not sure why. Maybe it's the receipt still folded in your wallet. Maybe it's just a slow Tuesday and you're bored. You tap it. It asks how much. You almost close the app right there. because what are you supposed to put? $50? 100? You don't have that kind of room. You type $20. Every payday. Automatic, so you never have to decide again. You hit confirm and immediately feel a little stupid about it. $20 isn't going to do anything. You know that. 2 weeks later, the transfer goes through without asking your permission. Your checking account has $420 instead of $440. You don't even notice for 3 days. That's the part nobody explains to you. You expect it to hurt? It doesn't. The $20 just leaves quietly, like it was never really yours to spend in the first place. Your friend Amir catches you looking at your phone at lunch one day and asks what's so interesting. You tell him about the savings thing. He laughs, not mean, just genuinely confused. $20? Bro, that's not gonna do anything. You laugh too, because he's not wrong. You don't fully believe otherwise yet. You're just repeating something you read somewhere, from someone with a name like Finance Guy 88. But you keep doing it anyway. There's a Tuesday in November when checking drops to $41, 5 days before payday. Old you would have spiraled a little. You glance over at the other account. The one with $100 and something sitting in it, untouched, and feel something new. Not relief exactly. More like backup. Like realizing there's a second door in a room you thought only had one exit. By December, you've got $140 in an account you don't touch. It doesn't feel like wealth. It feels like proof of something. You're not sure yet what. Here's the part that actually matters, and it's not the money. You've started checking your account before Des texts about wings instead of after. You're deciding based on what's left once the $20 is already gone. January comes. Your hours get cut for 2 weeks, slow season at the warehouse. 440 becomes 310. Your thumb hovers over the toggle to turn the transfer off. You don't turn it off. You eat cheaper. You skip wings night, for real this time. February, hours go back to normal. The account has $180 in it. You made it through without touching the savings. That's the first time you understand something you can't quite put into words. The $20 was never the point. The point was finding out whether you'd protect it when things got tight, and you did. Barely. But you did. Spring comes, the account crosses $300, then $400. Some Fridays you genuinely forget it's even happening, and that, it turns out, is the entire design of the thing. You still buy new shoes when the old ones finally give out. $34 this time, a few dollars more, because you noticed the cheap ones don't last. You are 23 years old. You have $412 saved. Nobody claps. Nobody notices. You barely notice. But something has started that didn't exist 8 months ago, and it's not the money. It's a Tuesday. It's always a Tuesday when something breaks. You're driving home from your shift, and the car makes a sound it's never made before, a kind of grinding, low and mechanical, like the car is clearing its throat. You pull into the lot outside your place and just sit there for a second, engine off, listening to nothing. It doesn't start the next morning. You get a ride from Amir. You look up a mechanic near your place. Not because you know anything about cars, just because it has 4 stars and it's close. The guy, an older man named Gerald who's owned the shop for 20-some years, walks you through it slowly, like he's used to explaining bad news to people who don't want to hear it. Alternator's gone? Belt's shot too since it's connected. Parts and labor? $480. You do the math standing right there, before he's even finished the sentence. You have $412 saved. You have $60 in checking, because payday's 5 days out. Gerald doesn't rush you. He just says, take your time, and goes back to another car up on the lift. You stand in the parking lot for a long time. This is the moment. You thought moments like this would feel bigger. You open the app. $412. 10 months of $20 transfers, 1 slow month you protected on purpose. Sitting right there, ready to fix a car, you need to keep the whole thing running. You transfer it. All of it. The account goes back to 0. It feels different from what you expect. Not like failure. It feels like the first time the number actually did something. Gerald fixes the car by Thursday. You pay him in full. No financing. He mentions, almost as an aside, that most people your age ask about the payment plan his shop offers. 12 months, some interest tacked on. You didn't even know that was an option. You're a little relieved you didn't. That night, you run a number you don't want to run. What the same repair would have cost, financed on the one credit card you have, at 26%, over 12 months. $561 by the time it's paid off. $81 more, for the privilege of not having the money already sitting there. You didn't pay that $81. 10 months of $20 transfers paid it for you without you ever noticing you were doing it. You start the savings transfer again on the very next payday. $20, same as before, back to zero. Amir gives you a hard time about it a few weeks later. You just wiped out your whole savings, and you're still doing that $20 thing? You don't have a perfect answer. The honest one is something like, because something's always going to break. That's not a reason to stop. That's the reason to keep going. June comes. You've got $100 back in savings. Slower to rebuild than it was to build the first time. But there's something you know now that you didn't know in October. You know the money works when it's tested. You're 24 years old, the alternator held, the savings account is rebuilding, the car runs. It's just a Tuesday that could have gone a very different way. A payday loan placed 2 blocks from the mechanic, glowing yellow sign, open till 9, and didn't. You drove past it on the way home. You didn't even slow down. By 26, you don't think about the $20 anymore. It stopped being a decision and became something closer to breathing. You got a raise in the spring. The warehouse moved you up to a lead position. $17 an hour now. 40 hours, most weeks. Finally over the line, into benefits. You don't feel richer. You just increase the transfer. $20 becomes $35. Your emergency fund crossed $800 that August, then $1,200. You set a number in your head. 3 months of the basics, and stop adding once you hit it. You think about opening a brokerage account for almost 3 weeks before you actually do it. You open the app, read 2 paragraphs, close it. Open it again 2 nights later, get as far as typing in your bank info, close it again. It's not that you don't understand it. It's that $200 leaving your account and going somewhere you can't touch. It feels like it should be harder than it is. You finally do it on your lunch break. Takes 15 minutes once you actually start. $200 into a total market index fund because a video you watched 3 times finally made it make sense. You're not picking a company. You're buying a tiny sliver of every company at once. You transfer the money, close the app, and spend most of the afternoon wondering if you just made a mistake. The fund drops 4% in the first week you own it. Old, you would have panicked. This just closes the app and goes to work. Something else happens around this time that you don't fully clock until later. Your bank stops charging you a monthly fee. You didn't call anyone. You just log in one day and notice the $12 that used to disappear every month simply isn't disappearing anymore. A real credit card offer shows up in the mail that October. An actual card, $4,000 limit, your name printed clean across it. 2 years ago, the same bank wouldn't have given you a card that didn't require your own money as collateral first. Des gets evicted that winter. Not dramatically, just a text one Thursday saying he's crashing at his cousin's for a bit. You send him $60. He says he'll pay you back. You both know he probably won't. You notice something in yourself that week you don't love noticing. A small, quiet relief that it isn't you. You don't say that to Des. You just send the $60 and ask if he needs anything else. You still go to the wings place. But you're the one who orders water half the time now, not because you can't afford a beer, but because you genuinely don't want one as much as you used to. Amir clocks it once. You are different in a way that doesn't have a name yet. You're 27. Combined, between savings and the brokerage account, you've got a little over $5,800 that didn't exist 3 years ago. Nobody throws you a party for this. But something is running now that wasn't running before. And for the first time, it's running, whether you're paying attention to it or not. You've never actually watched the number go down hard. The 4% dip 2 years ago was a paper cut. This is different. It starts in a February you don't remember choosing to pay attention to. The news app starts using words like correction and sell-off. Then you check your account on a Sunday, and it's down 11% from where it sat a month before. You feel it somewhere specific, not your stomach exactly, somewhere closer to your throat. Here's what you don't do. You don't open the app to sell anything. Your thumb doesn't even go near it. You check that the automatic transfer is still scheduled. It is $60 now, every payday. You let it run. 3 weeks later, it's down 14%. Worse. You watch a video that night and write something on a sticky note you put on your mirror. A dip only becomes a loss the day you sell it. Your transfer that payday buys shares at the lowest price you've ever bought them at. It feels like throwing $60 at something currently losing value. You keep doing it anyway. Here's a rule that only makes sense once you've lived through this part. Volatility is what the account does. Risk is what you do about it. The dip lasts 5 months. You stop checking it every day somewhere around month 3. By that October it recovers. Not just back to where it was. Past it because you kept buying at the bottom the whole way down without meaning to time anything. The shares you bought during the worst 3 months are worth almost 40% more than what you paid for them. You didn't plan that. You just didn't stop. Amir sold in month 2. Panicked, cashed most of it out. You just nod when he brings it up later. Something shifts in you that year. You stop checking your account from a place of fear. You start checking it. When you do, out of something closer to curiosity. Like checking the weather, not a diagnosis. You're 30 years old. Your investment account, combined with savings, sits at just under $11,000. A little over $8,000 of that is yours in $60 pieces across 4 years. The rest, almost $3,000, showed up because you didn't move. Nobody teaches you that in school. But it's the only thing that actually happened here, underneath the numbers. You learned what to do when everything in you wanted to do the opposite, and you didn't do it. The first thing that pays you back. You're 31 when you start noticing the ceiling on your paycheck. $17 an hour, now 19, 40 hours a week. You can see the whole shape of it stretching out for the next 20 years. Same shape, just bigger numbers. A guy you know from the gym, Terrence, mentions he bought a duplex 2 years back. Lives on one side, rents the other. You didn't know that was a thing regular people did. You start reading about house hacking. Buy a small multi-unit place, live in one unit, rent the others, and let the tenants cover most of your mortgage. You need around $18,000, all in. You have $9,400 saved. Your transfer goes from $60 to $210 a payday. The biggest jump you've ever made in one move. 14 months of that, plus a tax refund you don't spend on anything fun. And you're at $19,000. You find a small triplex 20 minutes outside the city, listed at $131,000. 2 units already rented. You'd live in the third. The inspector, a quiet man named Osei, tells you straight. Nothing structural, maybe $6,000 and things you'll want to fix eventually. You close on it in March. Down payment, $18,200. Almost everything you'd built since 22, gone in one signature. Month 2, one of the tenants calls you at 11 at night because the lock on her door won't turn. You drive over in pajama pants with a jacket thrown over them and spend 20 minutes with a can of WD-40 and a screwdriver fixing something you have no business fixing. You don't sleep well that night. Nobody warns you that owning a building means your phone doesn't really turn off anymore. The 2 rented units bring in $1,400 a month combined. After the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and a repair reserve, you're netting a little over $200 a month. A water heater goes out in month 7. $440 straight from the reserve fund. You don't panic, it's just handled. By 34, both tenants have renewed. Your monthly cash flow from the building creeps to around $330. Your investment account sits at over $40,000 now. You're 35. Between the building's equity, the investment account, and savings, your net worth crosses $91,000 for the first time. Des still works the same job at the warehouse. Still good, still funny, still someone you'd call at 2 in the morning. But the conversations don't really go here anymore. It isn't loneliness exactly. It's something closer to standing on a floor slightly above the one everyone you grew up with is still standing on. Close enough to hear them. Too far to really be standing there with them anymore. By 36, you're not checking the accounts every week anymore. Not because you stopped caring, because there's genuinely less to check. You get a second property that year. A small single-family rental, $164,000, financed partly through a cash-out refinance on the Treeplex's equity. Your loan officer, a calm woman named Priyanka, walks you through it. You didn't know you could borrow against growth without selling the thing that grew. The new place nets about $290 a month. Combined with the triplex, you're pulling in a little over $600 a month that has nothing to do with your hourly rate. You get promoted at the warehouse, lead operations manager, salary instead of hourly, $61,000 a year. Your combined income crosses $90,000 for the first time. Your accountant, a quiet man named Desmond, mentions in passing that with your income and asset level, you technically qualify to invest in things that aren't available to the general public. You read the paperwork on a private fund investing in self-storage facilities, $10,000 minimum, 9% projected return, money locked up for 4 years. You ask Desmond questions you're a little embarrassed to ask. You put in $10,000, no little green or red number ticking on your phone anymore. Just a quarterly statement. You're not poor anymore. You're not rich either. You're somewhere in between, in a place that doesn't really have a name. You went to a small dinner that spring, invited by Priyanka's husband who runs a real estate investment group. People talk about 8-figure portfolios and family trusts like small talk. You sat there in a good shirt you bought for the occasion, understanding maybe 60% of what was being discussed. You drove home that night and stopped at a McDonald's off the highway. Not for the coffee. You just wanted 5 minutes before you had to be back in your own house with your own thoughts. You sat in the parking lot with the coffee going cold in the cup holder, engines still running, looking at the drive-through menu lit up in the dark. You didn't drink much of it. You just sat there for a while. There's a version of loneliness nobody writes songs about because it doesn't look like anything from the outside. Too far up to go back. Not far enough up to arrive. You're 39 years old. Combined net worth crosses $213,000. The number is real. The quiet that came with it is real too. You're 41 when you find the receipt. You're cleaning out an old desk drawer and there it is. Folded into 4 squares, soft at the creases now, almost furry. $352. You unfold it all the way for the first time in years. You remember the gas station. You remember not knowing why you kept it. You know why now. You also find something else that day in the back of the closet. The shoes. The $29 ones from the warehouse, sole long gone, soft and cracked, laces replaced twice. You don't know why you kept these either. You almost threw them away right there. You don't. Your combined net worth that year. 3 properties, the investment accounts, the storage fund plus 2 others you added since, sits at just under $600,000. You don't check it daily. Desmond sends a summary each quarter, and mostly what you feel is background hum, not excitement. The machine doesn't need you checking on it. It runs whether you look or not. You could take a month off entirely, and none of it would notice you were gone. Des still texts sometimes. Married now, a kid on the way. You had dinner with him and his wife a few months back. Neither of you brought up money. You've both gotten good at not needing to. The $352 isn't a big number anymore. But it was never really about the number. It was about a 22-year-old standing at an ATM folding a piece of paper he didn't need to keep. You put the receipt back in the drawer. You still don't fully know why. Somewhere across town, a 22-year-old is standing at an ATM at 11:40 at night. The receipt comes out. He looks at the number. He's wearing shoes that already have a thin patch starting on the left sole. He folds the receipt in half. Then in half again. He doesn't know what it's about to start. The machine was never the account. It was the person who kept showing up.